welcome to this little chat I'm going to have here with my friend and one of our early presenters and contributors. This is Martin Ball. Hello, Martin Ball.
Hello, Nick. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. Welcome back to the Musical Talk studios.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
You're in the West End again now. Mr. No More Musicals.
I never said that, did I? I'm sure
did.
I didn't.
We have it on this very show.
Oh, really?
So I think I've had... This is after Wicked. You say, I think I've had it for musicals now.
Well, I imagined I had, but next thing you know, cut to 4 years later, and I've done nothing but musicals in the last 4 years. And hooray for that, and I'm looking forward to doing more. I love it.
You are in Top Hat at the moment, which we've seen and we thoroughly enjoyed, and it's doing incredibly well, isn't it? With a certain kind of people.
Yeah, yes, a certain kind of older market, what the government rather rudely calls the grey pound. Our Thursday matinees are our Saturday nights. Those are the fullest shows, and the curtain goes up to a whiff of lavender and mothballs. It's very charming and quite right for the piece.
Well, I remember you saying in an interview it's quite right, because Top Hat is a jukebox musical of the songs that these elderly folk grew up listening to and courting to, was the phrase you used.
Yes, it's much more than a jukebox musical.
No, sorry,
it's a proper story.
I shouldn't use that term, but it's because Top Hat, the film, only had about 4 songs.
Yeah, 5 songs in it, I think. But those songs were written for those moments in that show. And we've plundered the Irving Berlin back catalogue, of which there are some 1,500 songs. I haven't listened to them all, but the ones we've got are marvellous and really earn their place in the show. In fact, you'd never believe that those extra songs weren't written specifically for that character in that moment in the show.
I've never seen the film Top Hat, so I wouldn't be able to pluck out which ones were from the film and which ones weren't from the film.
Good. I'm pleased to hear that. Yeah.
It's a bit like another show you were involved with after Wicked, wasn't it?
What
with
was
Mary
that?
Poppins.
Yes, that had some songs specially written. That had songs written, of course, originally by the Sherman Brothers and added to by Stiles and Drew, equally successfully. Right, but this is all Irving Berlin. This is pure Irving Berlin.
Yeah, and what a writer. For someone who couldn't technically write music, it's quite impressive what he was able to do.
East European immigrant to the States, so not even his writing in what was not even his first language. Absolutely extraordinary, yeah.
You know, such standards as Let's Face the Music and Dance. And,
there may be trouble ahead. Is that one? I'm putting on my top hat. What we another famous one that we've wormed in is Putting on the Ritz. That wasn't written for the show.
It's a shame White Christmas isn't in there, but that's in another musical.
Yes, we haven't. Yes, we're not set at Christmas,
No.
and Act 2 is on the Piccolino in Venice, so at the Lido in Venice. So we couldn't get a White Christmas in there. No.
But I mean, you're playing a British producer, aren't you?
Yes.
In this role, tell us about Horace Hardwick.
Horace Hardwick is an English producer who's been left a lot of money by his father and has been something of a dilettante, one senses, in the past, but is having a go at producing. He's made friends somewhere down the line with Jerry Travers, who's the Fred Astaire character, who's in a Broadway musical theatre star.
Played by Tom Chambers.
Played by Tom Chambers beautifully. And then, so I invite him over to London. We open with him saying goodbye to his friends in New York. I'll be back. I'm going to London to do a new show for my friend Horace. And we meet him in London, and mistaken identity occurs. It's one of those plots that all those books.
It goes on for a bit, doesn't it?
It does. It's one of those plots you think, if only these two people just introduced themselves by name, we could all go home. We could all go back to the bar.
But like most Shakespeare stories, as in a way.
That mistaken identity thing is always a fairly thin idea, isn't it? Yeah,
and it seems to be a theme in a lot of these. I use the term loosely, the retro musicals, and they also have a sort of racist Italian or Spanish character as well.
Racist by modern standards, yes. Certainly in the 30s, we loved viving la différence with the nations, and laughing at foreigners. Laughing at foreigners in the 30s was good sport.
Because Drowsy Chaperone, which we've talked about eons ago on this show, almost parodies their kind of Top Hat.
That's a very good point, Nick. It does, doesn't it?
And that has I'm a Rodolfo in it as well.
Yes, and we have I'm a Bedini.
And what was the one we had in London last summer? The
Crazy for You?
Crazy for You, which also has one in it. And we also had Lend Me a Tenor, which also has one in it. So
it does. Crazy for You, yes, it does. They all do seem to have one, don't they? It's good sport, that.
Alfonso
certainly was in the 30s.
Rodolfo.
Yes, that's right. Comedy Italian. Let's laugh at the Italians. Yeah. This one.
Sweeney Todd as well, of course, but that's...
Yes, that's right. Gosh, they all seem to have a comedy talent, don't
And
they?
also the insurance company on the television.
Yes, so we haven't gone quite that far. We're
No.
not as far from that as we think in these reconstructed post-racist times. Yeah.
What an age we live in.
Yeah, poor Italians. They get it every time, don't they? It turns out. It hadn't occurred to me how much Drowsy Chaperone is a pastiche of just this sort of show.
Mm.
Does it have mistaken identity? I can't remember. I don't think it does.
I think it does. The whole thing is about is something. I remember something with blindfolds and thinking it was someone else, and I can't remember. I haven't seen Drowsy Chaperone for a while.
You're right. You're right. There was a blindfold and all that, wasn't there? Yeah. And somebody thinks they're talking to somebody
Yeah.
else. Yes, you're right. There is. And of course, the other thing that Drowsy has in common with Top Hat is the glorious Summer Strallen, our leading lady, who's just magnificent and just dances.
Magnificent's a good word for her, I think.
Isn't it? Yeah.
She's a stunning human being. I
Yeah,
think.
isn't she? Isn't she? Yeah, on stage and off. She's a
Yes.
terrific girl. And she has the style of the 30s absolutely down. The first moment when she's an iconic moment, if you know the film, where she looks up in her trying to sleep in her hotel room,
In her
but
eiderdown.
can't in her quilt. Yes, in her silk quilt. To Jerry Travers tap dancing joyously above her. And the wonderful way she looks up and you catch her profile in that wig, and you're just absolutely transported
And
utterly to 1935.
I also love the way that was staged in the show, because it was all done the way they do it in this
Split level.
in your
Come
production.
and see.
Is well, I won't reveal it, but
Yeah.
it's very clever because it involves two people.
Yes, it does. Yes, a real life Jerry and what we call the shadow Jerry, tap dancing above her. Yes, it does. Yes, he exists in two physical forms in that
Yes.
scene. It's amazing what you buy in the theatre, isn't it?
I know. So Top Hat is doing incredibly well. So
Yep.
if people want to see it, they're doing something quite interesting with the scheduling, aren't they? Of this show?
Yeah, we because our matinees are so successful, because
It's all
they
matinees now.
because they attract an older crowd. We've moved to 3 matinees a week, so we don't do a Monday night show. We do 2 on Tuesday, 1 on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday, 1 on Friday, and 2 on Saturday.
And
So
how's
8 shows in 5 days.
How's that working out for you?
This is the first week we've done it. We discovered on tour that matinees were successful, and I said to Kenny Wax, the producer, we've got to do an extra midweek matinee, do 8 over 5 days. And he said, yeah, I'm up for that idea. Went to the marketing people, and they said the midweek matinee is the hardest show to sell in town. It would be, and I think their phrase was, it would be suicide to do so. So we went with the normal Thursdays and Saturdays. And then we realised our advance was enormous. Looking ahead 6 months, we'd sold Monday night 20 tickets, Tuesday night 24 tickets, Wednesday night 31 tickets, Thursday afternoon 236 tickets. And every week looked like that.
That's for 6 months, and
That was 6 months in advance, yeah. That was looking in May for October, November, December. Those were the kind of figures. So the advance being so healthy on the matinees, the marketing people were persuaded otherwise, that on this show they were wrong. And that's what we're doing. And of course, there isn't much you're competing with on a Tuesday afternoon.
no,
Phantom used to do one. I don't think they do anymore.
I don't know.
And I forget who else does. But there's only a couple of shows you could choose from.
I
if
think there should
Tuesday
be more
afternoon was
shows in the afternoon,
Yeah.
because there are some people who don't like going out to, come
Certainly
home.
the older crowd, and
Yeah.
certainly people who are coming in from the provinces, it makes for a long night, because
Yes.
if you're coming up from Eastbourne and the show doesn't come down until 10:15, then you've got to get back to Victoria for an Eastbourne
And
train.
that's just that one of Les Mis.
That's right, that's right. They're all still alive.
There should be a morning production of Les Mis so you can get home by tea time.
Well, there was famously, the day of the O2, both we and the touring production who were in the Barbican at the time did a 10:30 a.m. Saturday morning performance. That hurt.
You did Top Hat on tour as well.
Yes.
So what was it like doing that and then going into the West End? Were any...
Great fun, because we took it out on tour, and there's only so much work you can do in a rehearsal room before you try things out on audience, and it's like constructing a knife. You can do it in the workshop and build the handle, and then when you get, it's audiences that provide the whetstone for that knife, that really sharpen it and tell you what works and what doesn't work.
Well, the audience, as we always say, the audience is the final collaborator of any...
That's much better put. Yes. Instead of my fancy arty-farty bollocks metaphor, you're quite right. So, and what they told us was that Act 1 was too long by about 7 minutes, that certain points in the storytelling weren't clear, and that Act 2 ran really quite nicely. So we had 8 weeks off when we finished in Leeds before coming into town, knowing we had the Aldwych, to look at things again. Mm-hmm. And that was great fun, because we got to in a very collaborative way. Kenny Wax and
You rang
who
Irving
produced
Berlin
it.
up.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
need a song for this bit.
Well, we sort of did actually. We rang up the Irving Berlin estate and said, we want to change things around. And they were very good and very open to that. We made the storytelling clearer. We got back into rehearsal, and I played Operation Cut. How little can I afford to say and this still be clear? And what I do say, how can that be clearer? And was all for getting rid of, the superfluous stuff and keeping the narrative drive strong. And what we've ended up with, collaboratively, is a much tighter show for Town. And it's a joy to play every night because it's so much clearer than it was. People were kind to us in the provinces, but and the show was fun, but it was overlong, and nearly ran at nearly 3 hours. But it's now 2:20 or something, 2:15, and that's 2:14 I think it is, which is a much better length of time for this type of show.
And it's interesting, the audience you get to appreciate this show won't be around in 20 years' time.
No, that's
so in
very
a way, this
true.
is the last time this kind of real.
That's an extremely good point. Yeah, because they don't know Irving Berlin's music. Young people don't.
I mean, people know the famous,
the very famous ones. Yeah, one or two of them. But surprisingly, talking to the youth of today, I find that I say, well, it's got numbers like blah blah blah, and they look at me blankly.
I know that song. We all know blah blah blah.
Yeah. That's one of his better ones. You're right. It's a very good point. Now is the time to do it. Now is the last chance to do it in that sense.
Because when I saw it, and I enjoyed it very much, I said there was a woman who must have at least been 400 years old next to me. She needed about 8 ushers to carry her into the theatre, and luckily there were some seats free, so she's able to spread her various walking implements out across the seats. Yeah. She was absolutely having a ball.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. People love it. They come out fizzing at the arse, and they're up on their feet.
I can't speak for her doing that, but I'm sure it was a wonderful experience and great memories of the pop music of their day.
Yeah, that's what it was. And of course, it's the music to which they courted. So there's this palpable sense of nostalgia at a matinee when you're squeezing the hand of somebody who you fell in love with. What is it, 60, 70 years ago almost,
or in some cases, someone you lost,
Yeah, indeed, someone you lost, yeah. I'm very pleased that my mother has lived long enough to see it. She's now 80, because she loved that sort of music, and I've put her through Mamma Mia and Wicked and Les Mis, which weren't quite her cup of tea. So I'm very pleased that she survived. I would be very sad for me to be finally doing a show like this and her not having survived to see it.
And you have a song.
I have a song.
And I have to say that
I had 2 on tour, but we cut one. Quite rightly.
Regardless of whether you singing or not, Martin, it is my favourite song in the show.
Is that so? Tell me why.
Because it's that kind of...
I knew I liked you, Nick.
It's very funny. It's almost foreshadowing what Rodgers and Hammerstein did with the I'm going to sing an anti-love song now because I love you.
Yeah.
They even wrote a song because I love you. And it's doing that, I hate everything about you, but we're married and I love you.
Yeah.
And it's a charming song, and you do a jolly good singing job with it.
Thank you. Speak singing, yes.
A role of Higgins awaits, I think.
Yeah, I'd love to do Higgins. It is that sort of a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I would never be hard for my singing. I mean, I can get away with stuff, but because I'd never be hard for it, I always try and treat it as text. Just I forget. I don't want to know. I don't want to know if it's an F sharp or it doesn't make any difference to me. I mean, I do read music, but I don't. That's not important. I just put the score down as quickly as I can once I've learnt the notes and treat it as text.
Now we'll close on a little discussion. You're a huge opera fan, Martin,
yeah.
and that brings that up. You listen to, because opera is all about the music. And the story might... We've done an episode or many discussions here on the podcast about what is the difference between an opera and a musical, and we still couldn't come up with an answer. Just wondering, as you go to opera a lot, you'd never perform in an opera.
No, that would be awful.
But you've performed in musicals. Is there a fine line now? Is there a difference? Is it all to do with class and where it's staged?
Oh, I hope not. No, because you can do a Figaro. You can do a Marriage of Figaro anywhere with anybody. It is about the music. Of course it is. Opera must be about the music. But it's also about narrative drive as well. It's about contextualizing the music, hugely. One used to say musicals are through sung and operas are through song and musicals have a book.
And Les Mis came along.
But then there are exceptions to that. There have always been exceptions to that both ways. Magic Flute, for instance, is Singspiel, as they call it in German. And on the other side of the coin, Les Mis is through song.
Is that where the term spiel comes from?
Singspiel, yes, it's German word for speaking.
Talk.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that has, that is essentially a book musical. I don't know what the difference is, really. I mean, if you look in the Penguin Book of Opera, it lists all the Rodgers and Hammerstein and those kind of things.
Right, Sweeney Todd was done at the Royal Opera House, so does that make it?
That's right. It's so who can say? I think one thing we can say is that the lines are now very blurred. I think essentially the fundamental difference is in the style of singing. Whether you're, in the Opera House, they never use a belt voice. When Porgy was done as a musical, in inverted commas, they dropped the keys. They changed the keys. So they took it out of the coloratura soprano and put it into the chest, put it into the female chest voice. They changed the keys dramatically, not a semitone, but like a fourth, so they would drop into a whole different place in the voice. And they cut a lot of the excess. Porgy runs at 4.25 hours, and they brought it in at 2.5. And I think it's better for that.
And now the musical version is playing on Broadway with
with Audra McDonald and Norm Lewis. I'm going to Broadway, going to New York in 3 weeks' time.
Oh.
Hopefully, I was hoping to see it, but it finishes on the 23rd of September. So.
Oh dear.
Which is a shame, so I'm going to miss it. They were hoping to extend a little bit.
What are you hoping to see?
I was hoping to see Porgy. I don't know now. I'd like to book a Mormon if I can get a ticket, but to compare it to here, because it opens here in January.
I can sort that out for you if you wish.
Can you?
Yes.
Oh wow, great. We'll talk to you about that.
Full price. But...
That's fine. How exciting. Once apparently is a recommendation. That's all I know of at the moment.
Newsies. Go and see Newsies.
Newsies?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
It's a new Disney musical based on a film that flopped in 1995 or something. So it was a live action film. It's an Alan Menken score, and who did Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid and everything else.
We love him.
And it's a huge success. It's
good.
It's got Chris Gattelli's done the choreography, and it's just full of amazing dance scenes. And I don't think it'll come here. So it'll be one of those shows. Oh,
lovely, good.
It's a very American,
That's a good tip, thank you.
And Spider-Man, of course. You have to see Spider-Man to believe it.
Oh, I see. Okay, good. Yes,
I say the term "see Spider-Man." I don't recommend you make an effort to listen to anything to do with it.
No. Well, who are the words songs by?
Bono.
Mm.
And we'll leave it at that, listeners.
Yeah, quite.
Do let us know how you get on.
I will. Obviously, I'll go to the Met as well. I see at least one thing there in the week, if not two.
But Martin, it's been lovely to have you on, and thank you very much.
Pleasure. Do come and see Top Hat, everybody. It's great fun.
At the Aldwych Theatre.
Now running a Tuesday matinee. Don't turn up on a Monday night.
You can, but see Mamma Mia instead.
We're in the garden drinking wine.
I hate the rouge upon your lips, the polish on your fingertips. I hate those eyes of heavenly blue. I hate the way you sigh, honest I do.
I hate the cigarette you smoke,
the way you kill a funny joke.
I hate the fingernails that you chew. I hate the way you lie, honest, I do.
Outside of that, I'm delightful.
Outside of that,